Hello, my name is Chris LeBlanc, and I'm here today to teach you how to configure streaming audio for CVP 702. The first step that a customer will have to go through is to configure their Helix server. I'm not actually going to go through that today because we don't officially support Helix. It was tested with Helix, but we don't really support how to configure it. There's an appendix in the back of the CVP config and admin guide that goes over some simple steps on how to configure Helix to broadcast streaming audio. But from Cisco's perspective, we will take in an RTSP stream from a source in iOS and then broadcast that through CVP. So basically, the customer has to set up their own broadcast RTSP stream before they can start configuring anything for CVP, and test that out using RealPlayer or whatever audio device they want to use to test the stream actually works before they start configuring CVP. So that said, the first thing that you configure for CVP is the NetworkVRU script. So let's go to ICM. So here we have a NetworkVRU script that will play streaming audio for 30 seconds. So I'll just go through the different configuration fields. We're using the Play Media Micro app, so it's no different than any other Play Media Micro app. This particular Play Media Micro app starts saying that if it basically is going to take the audio name from peripheral variable 1, and we have the A as going from the app directory, and then this 3 is the unique identifier. So the default timeout here is 180 seconds, and you always want to make sure that this is longer than any stream that you're going to play, since we're only playing 30 seconds, and that's no problem. So what we did was we added another configuration field to the end of this. With the Play Media, this is the barge in field, so this is set to barge in yes. One thing to keep in mind is that if you have multiple NetworkVRU run external scripts back to back, that if you have multiple NetworkVRU scripts that are run back to back and they're both set to yes, a barge in true, then the second one's not going to be heard because it's going to just barge through all the ones until it hits a no that says don't barge in. So that's something to keep in mind. So basically we added this parameter to the end saying how many seconds do you want this stream to last for. So the ranges are, I think, 0 to 420,000. Oh, 43,200, and that's, I think, a day or something like that. So basically, if the value is 0, then the stream will never end. If there is no value configured, the stream will never end, and the stream can last up to a day. So here we have a stream that was configured to last forever. So here you see the same micro app. We're going to get the streaming audio name from peripheral variable 1. It's going to the app directory. This is the unique identifier. But here we see that the number of seconds is the max, because basically if it's going to stream forever, you're going to want this timeout value to be very high, because you never want this timeout value to kick in. So here we have the timeout is actually set to 0, so that means that the stream will last forever. So now let's go to our script. So the next step to streaming audio is to configure your streaming audio server in the media server, the user.micro app media server variable. So here, what all you do instead, used to be like HTTP/media server, and that's how you would configure the old WAV file media server. Now we're configuring it for Helix, and so what you do is you type in RTSP, which is the protocol that Helix uses, give the IP address, and this is actually the URL up to the stream name. that's configured. So any broadcast in that we have configured on our Helix will be this URL and then forward slash and the stream name. And so broadcast isn't a hard-coded thing here. It's just the alias that we gave the directory that contains all our streams. So let's go to the next step. And so in our run external script, we said the value of -1, we're going to get the stream name from peripheral variable 1. Okay, so next is to define peripheral variable 1. So we have a stream name called African, and I play some really nice African music, african.rm, and so that's all you need to do. One other thing, I'm just going to go back here. You want to configure this value, but not include a forward slash at the end, because CVP actually puts in that forward slash. So you just want to make sure that there's no forward slash at the end there. So now you're going to create your run external script, and this one is picking the stream that plays forever, or we could pick the one that plays for 30 seconds. And then you're just good to go. And so basically when you run this script, it's going to come through, define the media server as Helix, get the stream name from peripheral variable 1, and then run this external script. So that's what you need to configure in ICM. So let's go back to the list. So we saw that we defined micro app server, peripheral variable. Oh, we're going to configure the backup server for Helix. So Helix does not support a CSS, and so if you try to run a CSS with Helix, you're not going to hear anything. The CSS doesn't allow our TSP packets to go through it, and so the only way to configure a backup Helix server is to have your X node out of your run external script go to another Helix server, and that would be like another definition of user micro app media server. So then it would redefine where the server is, and then it would replay. The stream, and you can have a loop backup into here, and then replay the same node. But the only way to configure a backup Helix server is to have a redefinition of the media server variable name out of the X node. Okay, good thing I wrote down these things. So the other addition here is to go to iOS, and there's two commands that are required that we found in our testing for the streaming to work, and we currently don't recommend people to configure it. Now we're adding it to documentation. So let me just do a show run on my gateway and come down here. Oops. Okay. So before, we had actually recommended having MRCP, client timeout connection 10, and also the MRCP message timeout as 10. So now we're actually adding the RTSP client timeout and connect timeout and RTSP message timeout as 10. So the default I think is 3 seconds, and we found in some cases that's just too small. So that seems to be all the information that's needed for, I'm just going over my notes here. Yep, so that is all we need to do to configure streaming audio. I hope you enjoy it, because I like it.